Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, as expected, the trade deadline comes and goes, and Washington stands pat. They don't move, they don't budge, and nothing takes place. We talked about this yesterday. There were really only two guys that were even up for a conversation. I heard someone yesterday reference Ryan Anderson. Nobody wants Ryan Anderson. All right, if they were going to trade Ryan Anderson, the time to do that was before the season started, not during the season. Anderson hasn't done anything during the course of this season to convince anyone around the league that he's a difference maker and that he's going to come in and help bolster your pass rush at this point. No one's trading anything of value, of note for Ryan Anderson, so he wasn't even someone that we needed to concern ourselves with. It was really Ryan Kerrigan and quarterback Dwayne Haskins. Those were the two guys that might be able to give you something in terms of trade value. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Now, when I look at it, I was hearing 6th, 7th round pick boundied about for, the services of one Ryan Kerrigan. And I'm looking around and saying, that's it. That's the best we can do for Kerrigan. I think we could have gotten a 3rd round pick for him last year at the trade deadline because he did have another year left on his deal. Whereas this year he's a free agent. You're essentially getting a 3-month rental. No one wants to trade a 3rd round pick for a 3-month rental. And especially at his age, you heard what Ron Rivera said at the podium yesterday about what he's looking for in a trade. And that's not just him. That's other coaches, GMs, and the likes around the league. They're looking for a guy that's relatively young, that's got 2 or 3 years left on his contract. So you've got control over this guy for the foreseeable future. And you're looking for a guy that fits a need. What you're looking to do is take that off of your draft board in terms of needs. If you're going to trade for someone, you want value out of that trade. You don't want a guy that you're renting. We're not one player away from winning anything. So you're not looking for a guy that's coming here with an expiring contract. This isn't the NBA. You're not looking for, an expiring contract to free up cap space for the offseason. You're looking for a guy that can come in and help you right now and into the future. And that's not Ryan Kerrigan. That was Dwayne Haskins. And that's why I thought maybe, just maybe, we could get something for Haskins. But I told you, I don't think that there's any value in trading Haskins right now because we've diminished his value so much with the way that we've handled him and his situation that everyone's looking at Dwayne Haskins and saying, hey, you got a problem on your hands. I'll give you a 7th for him, but I'm not giving the guy away for a 7th round pick. I don't even know if the phone was ringing for Haskins, to be honest with you, because of all the issues that I addressed yesterday. I mean, you're at the point of the season now where what difference does it make if you get a young quarterback now or in the offseason? He's not going to help you this year, so what difference does it make? You trade for him in the offseason, and that's when you start to groom him. You're in the middle of a playoff chase or you're in the middle of trying to do something big this season, and taking on a young quarterback isn't something you're really looking to do in season. So I didn't see the value of moving a Dwayne Haskins from the standpoint of teams around the league. We wanted to get rid of him because we didn't want the headache and the distraction of every week Ron Rivera having to answer questions about, is Dwayne going to travel with the team? Is he practicing today? Dwayne reportedly is sick. Is he okay? What is going on? Like, this is the 3rd string quarterback that's not even active on game day we're talking about here. They just want to rid themselves of the distraction. From their standpoint, they would have probably taken at this point anything for him. I don't think anybody was offering anything. As far as Kerrigan is concerned, he's worth more to us than a 6th or 7th round pick. Let's be honest. I talked about I would have taken a 3rd or a 4th for him, but it doesn't sound like that's even on the table for him. It sounds like he was going to fetch you back a 6th or 7th round pick. And at that point, again, I look at it as my 1998 Toyota or Honda Accord. It's worth more to me than it is for me to just sell it to you for $500. I can still get more than $500 out of that Honda Accord. It's been really good to me over the years. No need in me selling it to you for $500. $500 isn't going to move the needle for me enough for me to come up off of my 98 Honda Accord. Well, the same thing with Ryan Kerrigan. He's been really good to us, and he's worth more than your little 6th or 7th round pick. All right? I'd much rather hold on to him for this stretch run, see what happens. We've already had a little stint here where one of our guys got banged up and he had to fill in. And so it's good to have the insurance of knowing if something happens, Kerrigan can step in. And it's also something worth noting that I feel like defensive coordinator Jack Del Rio is starting to get into his bag a bit. And you remember last week, Del Rio talked about why, or 2 weeks ago, he talked about why they decided to make the move. And we saw on film that they're moving around Kendall Fuller now. He's playing in the slot. He's playing at safety. We talked about that in the Giants game. We saw a little bit more of it against the Cowboys. They're moving Kendall Fuller around. Why? This has nothing to do with Kendall Fuller and his ability to play boundary corner. He's been one of the best boundary corners in the league this season. They don't need to move him anywhere. And as I've mentioned, Darby has been playing quality ball across from him. So there's no need to move any of those guys. They're playing relatively good ball. But they said, no, Del Rio said, we like what Fabian Moreau's done this season. Remember, Fabian was one of the heroes of week 1 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. We really like Fabian. He's done everything we've asked him to do. He's been awesome on specials. This is a guy that we want to play more. He's in a contract year. We'd like to see what Fabian can offer. You know, even if it's not here, we want Fabian to put some more quality tape out there so potentially he can get signed by somebody. They're not thinking about that. But again, you know, they want to know if they need to re-sign Fabian or not. The only way to find that out is to play him. So they're moving around Kendall Fuller now to make room for Fabian Moreau, to give him more opportunities. Well, why not do the same thing for Ryan Kerrigan? It sounds like he's going to get more defensive snaps coming up at the tail end of this season as we get down the home stretch here. It sounds like he's going to get more opportunities. Well, if that's the case, I don't want those opportunities to come at the expense of our 2 best defensive linemen in Young and Sweat. I don't want those guys coming off the field so that we can get old 91 on the field. But you know what I would like to see? And I advocated this at the beginning of the season. Matter of fact, before the season started, I said, man, I was Birdman hand rubbing it over here. I was like, yo, this is going to be great. We're going to see like a Seattle Seahawks NASCAR package where we're putting Kerrigan and Sweat and Young and maybe even Ryan Anderson all on the field at the same time. We're going to be getting this ridiculous amount of pressure. I was like, well, I don't know. I really like what we get out of Ioannidis, so I'd love to leave Ioannidis on the field. But if you want your best pass rushing unit on the field, I think that might actually consist of Young, Sweat, Ioannidis, and Kerrigan all on the field at the same time. That would be so nasty. How would they block us? You got 4 guys on the field capable of beating one-on-one matchups all at once. And I'm thinking at some point you got to reduce Kerrigan. You got to slide him inside and give him a chance to rush over a guard and see what he can do. Maybe he can win with some quickness. Maybe he can win with a little bit of power. And so I thought that at some point we would see a defensive lineup when it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, when you know they're going to pass the football. I thought there was a chance that we could see a pass rush group with Young, Sweat, and Kerrigan all on the field at the same time. I don't think we've seen it once this season. So at this point now, I'm thinking if Ron Rivera, who has said, hey, we think Ryan's going to play a little bit more here down the stretch. If that's the case, don't do it at the expense of Young or Sweat. I want to see those guys on the field as much as possible. If you're going to play Kerrigan some more and you want to get him more snaps, give him the Fabian Moreau treatment. Move other guys around. And my theory would be, I don't ever want Daron Payne off the field. Keep Daron Payne on the field. Jonathan Allen, to me, is the guy that is, he's hit or miss. Take Allen off the field in obvious passing situations. Put Kerrigan on the field. And I'm not saying do this every single time. But, I'm not saying take Allen off the field every time. But, I'd like to see Kerrigan get some snaps inside to see what that's like. Or put Chase Young inside. He's capable of rushing as an inside interior defender. And you can run twists and stunts that way and do some creative things that way. I just think Del Rio needs to get in his bag all the way. There are more things you can do with these guys up front than just subbing them in and out and keeping them fresh. There are other things you can do to really create mismatches for the defense or for the offense with these guys that we have up front. I think there are so many different things that you can do with this group that doesn't just involve, hey, Chase Young's a little winded. Let's get him out of there. He's played 6 straight plays. Or, Montez Sweat has played that whole possession and the offense just went 3 and out. Let's get Kerrigan in it. Like, I don't care to see Ryan Anderson at this point. I really don't. If we don't have to put these guys in the game, don't. I want 90 and 99 in as many times as possible. So let's see what they decide to do with Kerrigan. We know he wants to play more. And I don't know if he even made the statement that he wanted to be traded or not. Does it sound like a Ryan Kerrigan move? Might have been maybe some of his handlers, maybe his agent, or someone was a little bit disgruntled with his role. Kerrigan wants to play, all right? He's a ball player. He's a guy that's been one of the hallmarks of this organization for the last decade. He wants to play. He still thinks he can help and contribute. I understand it. He's a competitor. Why wouldn't he want to play? I'd be more concerned if he was okay with not playing. I'd be more concerned about that. So I get it. I understand. Well, there are ways that you can get him on the field without having to reduce the number of snaps from our two best defenders. So how about we find ways to do it without taking those guys off the field? Now, if they're tired, they're tired. But if they're not asking to come out of the game and you don't see any reduced production out of them because they're winded, I don't want to see 90 or 99 off the field. I don't. Period. End of discussion. Find other ways to get Ryan Kerrigan snaps. So we'll see what happens. I don't think we're going to see anything other than, hey, Chase is tired, or this is Kerrigan and Anderson's series, which is bullshit. Why are you taking both of those guys? There should never be an instance to me where both Sweat and Young are off the field at the same time. Again, unless they're both tired and they're asking to come out of the game. Like, you shouldn't start a series. Ever. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. You should never start a series with both Sweat and Young on the sidelines. It should never happen. I don't give a shit. If you're just starting a series, there's no way that those guys are tired. You don't ever see a series start with Aaron Donald on the sidelines because we want to get these other guys some. Hell no. To hell with that. Aaron Donald's on the field as much as you can get him on the field. You never see a possession where Von Miller's off on the sidelines. Want to make sure we get Von some rest, so we're going to start these. No. Von's on the field, and if he gets tired, you pull him off. Get your best guys on the field and get them in positions to make plays. And Kerrigan, I think, is a guy that can help you find a way to get him on the field without taking 99 and 90 off the field. And also, the co-lead tonight is, did you watch the game last night? The Giants are no pushover. We know this to be a fact. If you've been watching the Giants this season, yep, Daniel Jones stinks and he's a turnover machine, yada, yada, yada. Okay, yeah, we get all of that. This defense has been good all season long, for the most part. And you're fooling yourself if you think we're just going to show up because we won one game, okay? We won a single game. And now all of a sudden we had a bye and they got a short week and they're going to show up and they're going to lay down and we're going to smash these boys. You got another thing coming, okay? They are not dysfunctional like Dallas. They believe in their head coach. They believe in what they're being taught. And they're a lot like us. They're more like us than they are Dallas or Philadelphia. These Giants are hungry. They want to win. And they're playing hard for their new head coach. All right. They are much closer to us. I call the divisions. Every division is family business. Family members going up against one another. Because why? You know your family better than anybody else does. And our family, if this were our family, the Eagles are a cousin. The Cowboys are, the Eagles are a distant cousin. I don't really care about the Eagles, to be honest with you. They're a distant cousin. And the Cowboys are a lot closer of a cousin. You're first cousins. All right? Really don't get along with them, but you tolerate them. Right now, the Giants are like a brother. We look at the Giants, and we see a lot of ourselves in them, and vice versa. We drafted a quarterback in this first round in the same draft. The difference is they're still playing theirs. We're not playing ours. They got a brand new head coach. So do we. Now, their coach isn't a retread like ours, but they got a new coach. We got a new coach. Their coach is trying to come in and change the culture. Our coach is trying to come in, change the culture. We just got rid of a guy that we thought was bringing this organization down as a personnel guy and as a team president in Bruce Allen. They're currently trying to move on from their sieve, from the guy that they feel like is drowning them on a yearly basis in Dave Gettleman, their general manager. A lot of these similarities are striking. When I look at the Giants right now, their best thing going is their offense. All right? Or excuse me, their defense. The best thing we got right now going for us is our defense. They got one receiver that scares the hell out of you, and he wasn't a first-round pick, and that's Darius Slayton. We got one receiver that scares the hell out of you, and he was not a first-round pick, and that's Terry McLaurin. Now, they got some more weapons than we do. They got Golden Tate, who's better than any number 2 that we have. They've got Sterling Shepard that's better than any number 2 or number 3 that we have, and they've got a real threat at tight end in Evan Ingram. So they got more stuff, and, oh, by the way, they got Saquon Barkley. He's hurt, but they've got more stuff than we do offensively. So, but it still feels the same. Feels a lot like what we're going through right now. And somebody said to me, and it was a guy named Fat American, that that hit me up on the show last night and was in the MOBB Mob Squad. Stand up, we in the building. All right. We were talking, watching the game. We were watching the Giants and Bucks game together, and we were talking about it in the community chat. And he said, I'm going to tell you right now, it's between Washington and Giants moving forward in this division next year, in 2021 and moving forward. I don't know if that's the case. I'll never count out Dallas or Philadelphia, even though the Cowboys look like a mess right now. They can get it together if they get a healthy Dak back and, or whatever the case may be. They can go, and their offensive line is repaired. They're still a very talented football team. I've already told you guys this numerous times. But I understand where he's coming from when he says, hey, this division looks like it's, a new world order. Like, these young teams are coming up. The Giants look scary if they can figure out some things, and Washington could be scary if they figure out some things. I don't necessarily know if we have our shit together yet, in terms of what we're going to do with the quarterback position, and are we going to be in a position to even draft one, or what they're deciding to do there. But I can tell you this, the Giants don't really know either. They're kind of stuck in a little bit of a conundrum as well, because I don't know if Daniel Jones is the guy. I keep watching him, and I'm waiting for him to prove to me that he's the guy. He's shown me numerous times that he has the tools. So does Dwayne. But that doesn't mean a damn thing. He hasn't shown me that he's the guy yet. But watching them last night, they're dangerous, man. And I had several Washington fans tell me last night, man, I'm a little uneasy after watching that game last night. You should be. It's a family affair. Daniel Jones has won 4 games in the league. 3 of them have come against us. He's undefeated against Washington. We haven't beat the Giants in our last 4 games going back to 2018 when they were up 40-0 at halftime. You remember that game? Dirty Chaz started the game. Josh Johnson finished the game. You remember that one? Yeah, I do too. It was awful. Then they followed that up by beating us twice with Daniel Jones the following season. Then they beat us again to start this season. So 4 straight for the Giants. At some point, we've got to stop this. And we'll talk more about that as the week progresses, but it's not going to be easy. We're going to have to earn everything. Don't let everybody outside the division tell you and brainwash you into thinking that just because we stink record-wise that these teams aren't competitive. You saw what the Giants did against one of the best teams in the NFC. Don't fool your damn self. You saw what the Giants did against the Rams. Don't fool yourself. Don't let everybody tell you, oh, the Giants are trash, Daniel Jones is awful. You can get got. You should know firsthand because we already did. So, just warning you, this Giants team is not to be trifled with. If we're going to win the game, unlike the last time we saw them, and I said this last night, I'm going to say it again, they're a lot healthier, okay? They're not the same Giants that we saw that limped into the game against us in week 6. They're not the same Giants team. That game, Golden Tate had just come back a week or 2 prior. He was still getting his legs under himself. There was no Sterling Shepard that week. So we didn't have to worry about 87, and he's done a really good job of kicking our ass in the past. And Darius Slayton was dealing with an ankle and a knee. He barely finished the game. Came in hobbled, left hobbled. He looks a lot healthier now. So they're a vastly different team than the one we saw offensively, a few weeks ago. We got to come with our A game, or we will get smoked versus the Giants. And I'll tell you one more thing. That Giants football team is gaining confidence. Despite it not showing up in the left-hand column, they're gaining confidence. And they're going to come in ultra confident because the one mark that they have in the left-hand column, they got it from us. So they're going to think, we got them once, we can get them again. So we'll talk more about that as the week progresses. Let's get to in other news. And not a lot on the in other news front. Obviously today, the entire league got an off day because of today being election day. And so there's nothing going on, no buzz around the NFL. Really, the trade deadline was really a big dud. We'll talk about that more on the podcast, however. But there is a little bit of Washington news in the fact that coming off the bye week, I told you the one thing that I was hoping we would be able to do was come back off the bye healthier. We're not getting another off week after this. The closest thing we'll get to a bye is that Thursday game that we'll play against Dallas on Thanksgiving is going to give us a little bit of extra time to lick some wounds and get healthy for the stretch run. But other than that, this is it. You don't get any more time to yourself if you're a player on this football team. And so I was hoping that we could get healthy and maybe take some momentum from this bye, the win, and get healthy and come back a stronger football team. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm looking for this defense to take a monumental step post-bye. I think if we're going to make a serious run, I think the offense has improved a little bit. They still got a long, long way to go. But honestly speaking, if we're going to win anything of note this season, if we're going to beat a Detroit with a veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford that is fully capable of carving teams up, you're going to have to get a better defensive performance than the ones we've seen from this team in the first half of the season. They're going to have to step up, and they're going to have to be the catalyst that we thought they were going to be before this season started. They're going to have to step up, can't give up big plays. They're going to have to hold down some of these explosive and dynamic offenses, and they're going to have to keep games in the 20s. You see, even with the anemic Dallas football team, we still were only able to muster 25 points. We've got to keep teams under 30 to give ourselves a reasonable shot. So the defense is going to have to step up, come to the forefront. They're going to have to generate. We're not generating turnovers right now. We're -1 in the turnover differential category right now. All right. We haven't turned it over as much as you think. All right. But we haven't generated a lot of turnovers either. If you take away that Eagles game in week 1, we have not generated a ton of turnovers this season. So we've got to get better in that department. And it starts with the defensive line, starts up front. I think Cole Holcomb is going to make a tremendous difference. He's already had an impact with the interception off of Dalton in week 7. We need more production from our defense. We need to generate more turnovers. And I think we're very capable of doing that. So we're going to lead. But the big thing that I wanted to talk about was Steven Sims. Remember, I talked about us potentially getting healthier. Morgan Moses is going to be better. Remember, he limped into the bye week, barely finished the Cowboys game. As a matter of fact, I'm not even sure if he did finish the Cowboys game, which was okay. We were up big. We didn't need Momo out there, but he's ready to go. I don't know what's the status on Sadiq Charles. I wouldn't hold my breath on him coming back post-bye right off the bat. I think Sadiq is a guy that you'll probably see be out for another week or two. I'm targeting Thanksgiving for Sadiq Charles. That's the kind of the area that I'm in with him in terms of him coming back from his injury and the dislocated kneecap. But, we're looking to get healthier. You're looking to get Steven Sims back. You're looking to get Isaiah Wright back. You're looking to get some more of these targets back. You're looking to get healthier along the offensive line. Jaron Christian, you're looking to get him back. You're looking to start to get more to the where you want to be from a health standpoint for this stretch run. Steven Sims is huge because now that we have a guy that's functioning at a high enough level to make this offense look competent in Kyle Allen, you need to get him as many weapons as you can. A guy that we were counting on coming into the season as one of our biggest weapons in Steven Sims Jr. hasn't really been available this season. We haven't seen him in true form since week 2 versus Arizona, even though his last game was week 3 versus Cleveland. He's going to test the toe tomorrow, reportedly. He's going to start running on it to see how he feels. That's a big step in the right direction. This guy wasn't even on the practice field for the last month and a half. We haven't even seen him. After that Browns game, this guy wasn't even coming to practice. He wasn't even at the facility. So the fact that he's going to be there and running and testing the toe, that's major news. We don't know what that means. That could mean, and he's not off of IR yet. They're not going to activate him until they know he's ready. So he could test the toe and be like, nah, I'm not ready yet. And we could not see Steven Sims for another month. He could test the toe and say, all right, we'll see how it feels. Because, that's Rivera's thing. Got to see how it feels tomorrow. And we'll see what happens. But just to know that he's going to test it, we're trending in the right direction right now. And we can't wait to get this guy back. I think it dynamically changes our offense with a guy like Steven Sims available. So can't wait to see what happens with 15 this week. And even if he can't go this week, but he's getting close, we could use him for Detroit. We could use him for Cincinnati, And I want to say this thing before we get out of here. All of you who like to look at the schedule, well, I don't know how we're going to get to 6 wins. And you start looking at the schedule. This is a win. This is a loss. 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 This is a win. Well, look at San Francisco. By the time we get to the 49ers, there'll be no George Kittle. There'll be no Jimmy Garoppolo. And at that point, you punt on the season, because you're not in anything meaningful. You're not in a position to win the division or get a wild card. So at that point, you pack it in, and anybody that's injured, you just tell them, don't worry about it. We'll see you next year. That 49ers game isn't what it looked like 3 weeks ago when they were starting to get their mojo back. When they steamrolled New England a couple of weeks ago, you're looking like, oh, no, how the hell we going to beat them? When you watch them on Sunday night and they took care of the Rams, you're like, I don't know how we going to beat them. What do you got to say now? How about the Lions game next week? And I hate to look forward, and I just want to focus on the Giants, but how about the Lions game? Their best receiver, Kenny Galladay, hurt his hip. He looks like he's taking a trip to IR. Gonna give us a chance? I'm just telling you, don't play the schedule game like Coach Rivera. Don't do that. Don't look at the schedule and start talking about wins and losses. Just look at the next opponent and let the chips fall where they may. We're capable this season. We're capable. We got to take care of business. One game at a time. Next team up, the Giants. We owe them one. Let's take care of that one first, because if you don't take care of business in the division, then all the other games that I'm talking about mean absolutely nothing. They're irrelevant. You can't beat the Giants once, then you don't need to win this division. You don't need to go anywhere but home. So we got to take care of business. I'm challenging the fellas this week. I've challenged them twice this year, and they've stepped up, and I said this already, but I've challenged them twice this year, and they've stepped up both times. I'm going to challenge them later on in the week, because we need this one. We got to have this. This is not optional. If we do not win this, then we have a problem. So we're going to see what happens. But in any event, I'm not going to talk your head off. If you're not a member of the Mob Squad, what are you waiting on? Down in the description of this video is a link to join the community. We're watching all of these NFC East primetime games. We did it again on Monday. We would have done it on Sunday night, but I was on the road coming back home, so we missed out on that one. But we're watching these Monday night games or Thursday night games or Sunday night games, and we're really talking about a lot of different things. And sometimes the conversations go off the rails, as they tend to do, but it's all Washington related. We're talking about the past, we're talking about the future, we're talking about the present, we're talking about these games, and we're going to be watching the Washington game this weekend. And again, you can win cash prizes, as I've mentioned before. You can win money playing the game that's on the app, and I'll have more information later on in the week. So there's quizzes, there are polls, there are different things to keep you engaged. And again, this group has been so great since its inception, because a lot of information is being brought to the group. People are getting information from all over the place, and they're coming up with insightful ideas, and they're talking about, oh, did you hear this or did you hear that? And it's, as a fan, it's hard to be immersed in everything. So you can come to a one-stop shop and get everything that you're looking for with the Mob Squad, because people are getting information from IG and Twitter and a Facebook group and this, that, and the third, and you're hearing all this stuff, and you're like, I never thought about that. So you can get everything you need. If you live in California and you're a Washington fan and you're not getting as much coverage as you want, join the group. You live in Jersey and all they're talking about are the Giants and the Jets. Join the group. Be immersed in Washington football discussion 24/7. All right, so down in the description is the link, and I look forward to chopping it up with all of you guys and gals on the group. MOBB, Mob Squad, stand up. We are in the building. And on that note, I'm going to glide to the side and get out of here and allow you guys to enjoy the rest of your evening. Most of you are going to be watching the election and seeing what happens. It's a very impactful election. Hopefully you got out and voted today. I know people that decided they're going to sit this one out. I made the mistake of doing that last time. You see what the hell happened. Look, I know my one vote may not make the end-all be-all difference, but I know better than to make that mistake twice. And so I got my behind up and took my behind to the polls and voted today. Hopefully you did the same if you didn't vote early. And now we're going to sit back and watch what we've done as a country and see if we've got 4 more years of the same or if we voted for change. So I look forward to chopping it up with you guys tomorrow. And I look forward to chopping it up with you live tomorrow. Watch the Football Nightly live tomorrow night, 8:30 p. Look forward to chopping it up with you then. Also, we're going to be live for the podcast tomorrow. So, if you can't get enough of the Louie T Network, I'll see you tomorrow right around noon as we'll be talking about this dud of a trade deadline and opening up the floor to all of you out there with questions, social media maneuvers. I'll see you guys for that. So I'm your man, Louie T, and this has been Washington Football Nightly. I'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone.